teachers are praying, miracles happen in this place.
But it wasn't until I was shown love that I began to listen.
It's like just watching a miracle in progress.
The teachers truly want to share their knowledge with God.
A connection to the student, to the staff and to the teachers abroad.
Scenes like this evoke memories of days when we ourselves attended school. Some of those memories are good, others maybe not so good. Over time, we've formed a picture in our minds of what is a good school. And that's the kind of school we would like our children to go to. Today, we're at a very special place, K-12 Adventist School on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. But what makes this school so special?
K-12 Adventist School is a somewhat unique Adventist school in the sense that we have a very low proportional representation of Adventists in the school. We have about 8% of our students who come from Adventist backgrounds. The school has been on a very significant growth journey since 2003 when they moved onto the current school site from another site in town. The key part of that journey, I guess, is ensuring that as a school we grew and maintained and fostered the ongoing development of our distinctive Adventist culture as a school. We didn't want to become just like another school in the community. We wanted to ensure that we were a distinctive Adventist institution. A focus on culture in that journey has been critical for us as a school. Walking onto the school campus and feeling as though you're in an Adventist institution, and with such a low proportion of Adventist students, that has had to have been a primary focus for us as part of that growth journey. So creating a place where students come from an unchurched circumstance. The community here is what's known as a low SES community, which means that from a demographic point of view it has high unemployment, high levels of crime, and all the sorts of demographic challenges that would normally create a very challenging environment for a school or for a church to have some relevance perhaps in a more traditional way. So as a school we've sought to maintain relevance by really focusing on being the hands, feet and heart of Christ in a high needs community. That's impacted on the way that we staff the school, it's impacted on the way that we run our programs, it's impacted on the way that we liaise and work with the various members of the school community, most particularly families who send their children to the school. But most importantly, it impacts on the type of program that we run on a day-to-day basis, ensuring that everything that we do as a school is helping to grow a community where children have the opportunity to not only experience the character of Christ, but to take a faith journey in the time that they're at school, to be mentored, encouraged and nurtured in a way so that they can grow into a relationship with Christ over their time at the school. For us as a school, a key part of explaining or describing the distinctiveness of the school culture to a prospective unchurched community person is really at the point of enrolment, because lots of people, the school has a great reputation in the community for nurturing students, for providing educational product which meets the needs of a diverse group of students. But people are coming to the school because they know there's something different here, but they're not really sure what it is. And so when we have an enrolment interview, one of the things that we always talk to families about is that yes, we will, the little image that I paint for pictures is like a wagon wheel, and that we could talk all day about the various great things that we do as a school, outdoor education, exciting curriculum, facilities, all the other bits and pieces that go towards making up a great school program. But at the hub of that wagon wheel, the central focus of all that we do as a school is about creating opportunities for students to experience the character of Christ within what would be considered to be traditional Adventist worldview. Parents get excited about that. They say to me, I don't know what that means, but I would like my child to have whatever it is that you're providing to them. So at that point of enrolment, they get a very clear picture that being in this school and being part of an Adventist school is more than just going to a chapel once a week or having grace. It's something which pervades all of the lessons at the school. It pervades the curriculum. It pervades the way that we staff the school, the way that we manage the school, because all that we're doing is about lifting up Christ within the context of a traditional Adventist worldview. Unquestionably, any school will only rise to the heights of the capacity of the staff that are employed in the school. And because we are a school and we teach a curriculum and we have government expectations and the like to meet, and we obviously have the educational interest of students foremost in our minds, we need to employ people who have high capacity, or at the very least high potential to achieve significant success as a classroom practitioner, an expert in pedagogy and someone who's able to really improve the learning outcome of students. But for us as a school, the starting point of any enrolment interview is for us to clearly understand the spiritual journey and the capacity of a given teacher to contribute in a meaningful way to the nurture and growth of the school's spiritual culture. I'm a firm believer that teachers cannot give what they haven't got. So for them to be able to contribute in a meaningful way to the spiritual journey of kids, they have to have a meaningful spiritual journey themselves. And for that to occur within the context of an Adventist school, that journey has to be an Adventist journey that the teacher themselves is having, able to support the culture of the school, the ethos of the school, and be one of those key links in nurturing and mentoring a child in that faith journey towards the foot of the cross. And so when we're employing teachers or finding teachers to work in classrooms, a key part of recruiting those people is people who are able to actually minister to the needs of students, to take students on a faith journey through the curriculum, through their mentoring, through their relationships, and lead them to a point where the child is able to make a faith decision for themselves. The curriculum of the school is not just a collection of subjects. It's not just an assembly of knowledge for students to progress towards an academic outcome or a university pathway. It's actually an opportunity for them to see perhaps the kaleidoscope of knowledge that's available through the scripture story. God, the Creator God, being the source of knowledge. These are just windows of opportunity to come closer to Him and capture a picture of His grand plan for the world. And I guess from that perspective, when we're looking at teaching and learning within the school, and particularly as it's linked back into staffing, we really need staff who have the capacity, irrespective of what curriculum area they're working in, to be able to share their faith journey through those windows that are provided in the curriculum, whether it be science, maths, English, an expressive art form, sport, something along those lines. We have a creator God, we have an expressive God, we have a God of order. And all of those subject areas provide unique opportunities in their own way to build upon that faith journey that's offered in other parts of the school program. Adventist education is uniquely placed to provide a holistic education, caring for the intellectual, physical, social, spiritual, emotional needs of our students is our core business. It's what enables us to represent the character of Christ through the curriculum that we present to the children each day. Within the context of this community, where we have so many students who come from circumstances of disadvantage, where some of those aspects, sometimes multiple areas of that holistic worldview are not being catered for, the school is providing for them that well-rounded, balanced Adventist education that gives them a real step up and a pathway to future success. As we reflect on the impact of the school over the past few years, we've been really encouraged by the response of the students and the broader school community to the ministry of the school. The reality is that as a school, we take in a high percentage of students who come from quite significant disadvantage, whether that be educational or a family or community circumstance. In many cases, students who come to the school who've been victims of quite significant abuse. The nurture that's been provided to the students through that holistic school program has allowed so many of them to not only experience success educationally, but also experience a genuine conversion experience and finding that anchor in their life in a relationship with Christ. I can think of two ready examples at the present time who came to our school in circumstances not unlike those I've just explained. They've been able, with the support of the school, been able to overcome their educational disadvantage. They've been baptised whilst they've been students at the school and are now both studying at Avondale College.
Well, I always thought teachers were all about getting their paycheck. You know, they didn't really care about the students. You know, they just came to school, did their job, went home, and then lived their lives. But over the time period of actually being at this school, really getting to feel that they enjoy what they do. They enjoy teaching, and they have a passion for teaching. They have a passion for the students, and I found out that they actually cared about, you know, my life. They actually cared, about my well-being. And it wasn't until I realised that I began to listen, not only in class, you know, about education, but I began to listen about the spiritual side of things. I began to listen about this God who loves me. And that really just brought me to life. It really, you know, once I did start listening about the education and spiritual things, you know, I began to really think about my life choices. I began to think, you know, is what I'm doing, you know, right? So, you know, I began to listen in class. My grades started to improve because I was at the bottom of the class. And, you know, I began to not only receive love of my teachers, but to show love to my fellow peers. And from that, you know, now, you know, just by receiving the love of Christ, you know, being baptised in 2010, I want to share that love with other students. I want to share that love that I've received. And actually what I'm doing now, you know, a youth ministry here at K-12 Adventist School and in the church, it makes me passionate to look back on my life and how these people cared for me, and I want to care for these kids as well.
This place to me is home. It's basically, this school turned me into the man I am today. Without this school, I would guarantee that I'd just be another statistic in the town of Kempsey. Without this school, I wouldn't be at Avondale College studying teaching. It's this school that gave me my sense of direction, and this school which led me down the right track.
How did that happen?
Through the influence of the teachers, but they become friends rather than teachers. They become role models rather than adults. So the teachers basically went above and beyond their job to make sure that I was comfortable, to make sure that I was coping, and to make sure that, most of all, that me, Aaron Ralph, was dealing with everything okay. Through the influence of the teachers, but they become friends rather than teachers. They become role models rather than adults. So the teachers basically went above and beyond their job to make sure that I was comfortable, to make sure that I was coping, and to make sure that, most of all, that me, Aaron Ralph, was dealing with everything okay. This school somewhat was my spiritual haven as a teenager. It was where I'd come to for spiritual food, and it still has that effect. I still come to this school and I still feel lightened. Like sitting here right now amongst this school for the first time in about 6 months, it's like just watching a miracle in progress.
Both of those students really typify the experience of many students in the school, where their commitment to the Adventist church, their commitment to the ministry of the church is very strong, because they in reality have been rescued themselves, and the potential impact of these young people for the longer term benefit of the ministry of the church, I believe, is should not be underestimated. Their sense of commitment and their sense of purpose in going out and serving their Creator God through the ministry of the church in the future is something which burns inside them, because they want to give back something of which they themselves have received. We also see that in the responses of broader school community members, parents and families responding to the ministry of the school. because of the changes that they've seen worked in the lives of their students. Families who enrol their children at the school and just want them to be part of the school program, parents who report the significant changes in the lives of their children through the work of the teachers, through the programs of the school, parents who make comments along the lines of, sending my child to this school was the best parenting decision that I've ever made. Parents who, when they experience a marriage breakdown or a major other type of trauma in their own personal lives, who will appear at the school in tears and come and sit in my office or one of the offices of another staff member at school and simply say, look, we weren't sure where we could go, but we knew that we could come here. This is our home. This is some place where we feel a connection, where we feel safe, and we know that we're going to be cared for. For us as a school, those types of that type of feedback, that type of response from our school community, an unchurched school community, fills us with a sense of purpose and confidence that we're doing God's work in this community.
The reason I was sending Aaron out to this school, because I felt like, not knocking the public sector of school, I just felt like his needs and his individual personality and his growth wasn't getting met. It was kind of treated like, apparently he had bad behaviour problems and stuff, and he's always been a lovely child, but I did behaviour classes and that with him, and I felt like they don't know my son, so they didn't really feed in to actually his personal background and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, and the school just started off just probably 9 months prior to Aaron coming out here. And when I brought him out, he was actually in 5th class at the time when he started here. I've just noticed straight away it was just a big sudden change in Aaron's well-being, as well as being his own special growth here. I think what the school has done for Aaron is actually built him as, besides his spiritual walk for God, which was the number one thing I wanted to have installed in my son and my other children as well, is that I felt like with him being here, it just took him down another little pathway. It wasn't all about him anymore. It was actually, there was more about the school was building into his, unbeknownst to him, it was actually building him up into a bigger picture, which in the long run he ended up becoming 3-year school captain. He was SRC every year at the school. Also, the part of doing all the trips that are available here, like from year 10 onwards, and even in year 7 and other programs that we're running for the school as actually in servicing other places, that's been the biggest impact on my son's life. As of today, of going through here, it actually built him as a young Aboriginal man, a self-reliant person. I think he, even leaving school, he's still doing services over in other countries as well. So that's been a big plus and power to think that. I thought it might have stopped after Aaron left school, but he's actually went on to another 2 countries.
Well, it's impacted on my son because he moved here in year 8 from quite a larger size school, and I think the smaller classes to start with, and just the teachers being so dedicated and really focusing on each individual child was very noticeable, and that had a big impact.
K-12 Adventist School values highly the relationship that we have with local Adventist churches. We very much as a school see ourselves as being a core ministry of the church, providing a point of relevance and connectedness for the church into a local community. A very practical way of providing an avenue where literally hundreds of unchurched people have a very positive and real connection with their local church through the school on a daily basis. One of the most exciting things that we see as a school during Sabbath hours is the attendance of unchurched people at local church programs and events, and running a weekend event and having many unchurched people arrive for worship or for a church social type event or a Friday night worship program. Seeing those young lives being impacted, families being impacted, people making decisions for baptism, people making decisions, they're still thinking about baptism, but they would like to be part of the the broader church community is something which is very exciting for us to witness, because we know that connection to Adventist community will over time change their lives. I guess one of the most exciting things for us as a school is seeing our school vision statement of nurture for today, learning for tomorrow, character for eternity being lived out in reality through lives changed and people making a commitment to their Lord and Saviour through the ministry of the school. It's exciting to be part of it, and it's a privilege to serve God through Adventist education.